3 months ago, I disappeared from YouTube. I didn't plan to, but between some health scares and a deep need to just get really quiet with myself, I had to step away. I needed to take care of my body and my mind. I was also heading into my birthday month, November, a season that stirred up more than I expected. I didn't want to absorb the noise of the outside world or carry everyone else's weight for a while. The world felt harsh. Family dynamics weighed heavy on my soul. And I kept asking myself, is this just what midlife feels like? There were moments of joy, moments of tears, and moments that honestly left me feeling physically sick from the stress. But during those 3 months away, I was deeply grateful. Grateful for this farm, grateful for my chickens and all my feather babies who don't ask questions. They just show up. And most of all, grateful for my husband, my steady rock when everything else felt shaky.
Hey friends, it's been a minute. I really didn't plan to vanish for as long as I had, but somewhere between chasing turquoise water in the Canadian Rockies, challenging myself to a 22-mile one-day hike, hunting down golden larches in the North Cascade that got covered in snow, turning 50, managing my health, worrying about my elderly parents from 1,700 miles away, and let's just be honest, adding way too many chickens to my flock. I just needed to step away. And honestly, it did me some good. A whole lot of good. And I've learned that my life and who I am usually move through seasons. And during that time, my season really was just to go inward. I needed to be quiet. I needed depth. I needed to stop performing for the world and actually just listen to myself again. And now that I'm back, well, as you can see, many things. I can honestly say that I haven't really figured everything out yet, but I am a little bit more clearer, a little bit more grounded, and really just finally embracing what actually lights my heart up. I definitely have many more new stories to tell, life lessons, but most importantly, just a little bit more peace than I had before.
If you've been with me from the beginning of this little experiment, you know I've had a couple of channel names, including one of my favorites, The Rooted Life with La. And that's still part of me. But during that inward season at the end of 2025, something shifted. I realized I needed to fully own who I've always been. The last few months of 2025 flew by. I ran my food cart through the busy summer season and into the fall slowdown. I added more chickens as usual, much to my husband's ongoing protest, and I harvested some of the things I grew on the farm, which still humbles me every year because I can't believe I grew them myself. And somewhere between all of that, 3 epic hikes, life changes, and some health stuff, I realized I didn't know what to post anymore. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was trying to be something instead of just owning me.
So where have I been? I'm still standing in my kitchen, but I did step away from YouTube just to live off camera for a while, to breathe, and of course to take care of my health. It wasn't because I was tired of creating. The truth was that life really just got away from me, with many things that was happening. I really didn't know also what to say anymore. And I didn't really know how I fit my life into the rooted life. It's a great part of who I was, but I was wondering, how does it fit? And how was I supposed to live it? I mean, truthfully and seriously, how many things can I talk about when it comes to midlife, right? Especially for most of us who are living it every single day through our aches and pains and our memory fog. But midlife and chickens, well, when I look at it, that took me to a whole different level. And I can say that within that stillness, that time away, I really didn't let it go to waste. And I'm grateful for that. Because in that nothingness, though, something has shifted inside of me. And I started getting inspired again, not from the trends or the pressure of creating YouTube, what I should or could have, whatever it is, etc. But I wanted to really just listen to myself. And I sat with my feather babies quite a bit and just learned to listen to my gut, or my solar plexus, as some people would call it, and tell myself what feels right? What actually lit me up, and what really made me happy, and what finally felt right for this stage, this juncture of my life. And in reality, though, when I need clarity, I've learned that sometimes I just cannot create. I have to do something completely different. So instead of staying busy like I usually am and planning 3 days ahead or a week ahead or etc., I slow down a lot. I just tried forcing myself to just take it one day at a time, one hike at a time, one slow morning, just an ordinary moment on my farm. Enjoy my coffee instead of just letting it cool and slurping it down before I run out the house. And breathing. That was something sometimes I feel like I forget. I probably should have done a little bit more meditation, and I didn't, but I'll get back to that. But in reality, somewhere along the way, in my silence, my intuition, though, kept nudging me, kept bugging me that it's time to come back. And I kept telling myself, I will. And so here we are, the new year. I'm back, not because I lost my voice or etc., but just to remind myself that I actually have a lot to say. And when I realized this, I was just trying to be myself and choosing me and choosing what feels honest for myself, what actually feels grounding to me, and what feels like home. And thus I'm gonna just embrace myself and just be who I am and what everyone has always called me, because I became a chicken mama, and how I became the accidental chicken whisperer the last 10 years, right? But to be honest with you, being a chicken mama isn't just cute and quirky. It comes with many worries, responsibilities, and the real anxiety of, just trying to figure out who's going to take care of my babies when my husband and I are gone, a couple of days hiking, camping. And that alone is a whole emotional experience, which I will share here and there. Since I have an ulterior motive, I'm trying to make everybody become chicken people, chicken mama, chicken dad. We'll talk about that later. But first, where I've been, I had a lot of great adventures to share with some of you all. And I'm going to take all of you with me in this video of what I've been doing the last quarter of 2025. From the mountains and the trails that really reminded me why Mother Nature is one of our greatest teachers.
We decided at the last minute to take a week-long trip to Canada at the end of August. The timing felt right. We had renewed our passports earlier in the year, and suddenly this trip I've only ever seen in my hiking groups was actually happening. I was finally going to Banff National Park, finally hiking into those mountains, finally seeing that unreal turquoise water of Lake Louise and Moraine Lake with my own eyes. And let me tell you, it did not disappoint. We hiked trail after trail that week, deep forest climbs, long ridge lines, rocks and roots, and switchbacks. We even stopped for tea along the way. But the trail that stayed with me the most was the climb up to the big beehive, overlooking Lake Louise. It was stunning, steep, and honestly worth every breath and every incline. It's one thing to stand at the shoreline of Lake Louise with everyone else staring at the impossible blue water, but it's something else entirely to earn that view from way up high, to look down on it and feel like you're floating above the world. No camera, no filter, no vocabulary could ever do it justice.
I turned 50 this past November, and honestly, after years of hiking since moving to Oregon, and especially after the last couple of years of intentionally hiking more for my own mental health, it was wild to hit that milestone the way that I did. This last quarter of 2025, I've had more doctor's visits in the past few months than I did in the previous decade combined. You name it, from mammogram to health checkup to stitches in my hand for the first time in my life, numerous urgent care visits, many preventative care, and sadly or not sadly, an ER trip where they thought I was literally having a heart attack, blood work, many tests, several x-rays, basically the full let's check everything package here, La. That was kind of tough. It felt as though my check engine light came on and decided to just stay on continuously. And of course, I'm grateful for that. Truly, I am. I'm grateful for the care, grateful for the caution and the precaution by all the doctors. But it was also a reminder to myself to pay attention to what's going on with me. But above all else, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm still healthy and maybe not so carefree, that my team of doctors is letting me walk away without just a few more tests. But, you can't take life for granted.
But here's the thing. I feel more grounded in my body than I ever have. Over the last several months, I've lost weight just from eating better and moving more. Turning 50 has been a reminder, though, that I only get one life and one body to live it in. So I'm paying more attention now. But hitting 50 also lit a fire under me. The goals I didn't finish in 2025, well, it's time to finish them. Write my books, create consistently again, grow my media company, Kofifi Media. Yes, it's named after a rooster, and yes, he's deeply missed. This chapter doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like a beginning. After everything that year held, the hikes, the health scares, the quiet, there was one trail that asked more of me than I expected. We hiked the Enchantment Traverse, a one-day, 22-mile hike, 5,000 feet of elevation gain, mostly early, and a brutal 7,000-foot descent. Once you start, turning around isn't an option. I trained for it the same way I trained for my half marathons. Lifting heavier, lots of squats and lunges, running longer, basically trying to convince my legs this was a good idea. And let me tell you, it was hard. Not just because it was long, but because it was relentless. Constant climbing, constant descending, many moments of, La, what on earth did you sign up for? But entering the core of the enchantments, after that brutal climb up Asgard Pass, felt like stepping onto another planet. The silence wasn't just peaceful, it was almost deafening. And because we went early, the crowds were gone. For miles, it was just the two of us and a couple of mama mountain goats with their babies, completely unbothered by our presence.
That hike showed me something I really needed to know, and that I'm not done, not the least, and that my age isn't just a wall, it's really a doorway. And there were moments out there where I genuinely didn't know if my body could actually keep going. But what can I say, right? My knees were hurting, my feet was hurting. I mean, everything hurt. But it did. It really did. My body carried me through something I wasn't sure that it could anymore. And also, a lot of that and everything through that hike, it has changed something in me. Just looking around, we were some of the oldest hikers out there. Most people that we passed, the few people that we passed were probably kids, around our kids' age. And instead of feeling out of place, I've actually felt really proud that I prepared, proud that I showed up, and most importantly, proud that I didn't quit, even when I really wanted to. And as fiercely independent as I am, having my husband there meant everything to me. I'm grateful for him. He really was the calm when I wasn't. He kept going when I wanted to stop, and somehow we finished it. We finished the whole thing together. Brutal, but we finished. And here's the part I swore I never say out loud, because it's me, right? Even though I said that I'd never do the enchantments again, well, my husband has already talked me into entering the backpacking lottery for 2026, and I have it on my calendar, and I'm going to keep an eye out for it so that I can enter our name. Crazy as it is, I guess apparently I enjoyed mild torture, but really, the hike reminded me that I'm still capable of hard things. And that I don't have to shrink just because I'm getting older, and embrace this juncture, this time in my life. But most importantly, that perhaps this next chapter isn't really about slowing down. It's probably more about choosing what's worth the effort. So everyone, wish me luck, and if I get the permit, because it's on a lottery system, I'm taking all of you with me, okay?
There's something about early fall that always calls me inward. The air shifts, the forest slows, and I feel this quiet pull to get out there, to move, to reflect, to pay attention. We came to the North Cascades chasing larches, golden trees, crisp air, that fleeting moment we planned for all year. But the mountains, she had other ideas. Overnight, the landscape changed. Snow covered the trail, the trees, the colors I thought I was coming for. So we adjusted. We camped, we waited, and the next morning we hiked anyway. Slower, quieter, more aware of each step. And somehow, what we found was just as beautiful. Snow-dusted larches, silence you can feel in your body, a reminder that not everything arrives the way you expect it to. And that doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes, the most meaningful moments come when you stop chasing the picture in your head and let what is meet you where you are.
You guys, stop it. So let's talk about the new name.
I'm out here with all my feather babies, as you can tell. The name, The Accidental Chicken Whisperer, is probably the truest version of me, and I'm embracing it. And all the noise. It's the version I never expected, but the part of me that I truly love the most. I never planned for this, especially the last decade of my life. I didn't realize that I would be shaped so deeply by all my feather babies, but here we are. I didn't set out to become a midlife intuitive storytelling woman that's surrounded by feather babies, especially my chickens. It just sort of happened, and I'm embracing it and I'm loving it, you know? One chicken became 2, and 2 became 10. And then, of course, the chickens, they all became ducks, turkeys, and the guinea fowls, which they're eyeing me and they're jumping on me. But, well, let's not talk about that, especially with my husband nearby. He's always side-eyeing me. But the funny thing is, a lot of my videos were already telling that story. If you actually go back, it always has many chicken metaphors for life, you know. It was always me on the farm, always surrounded by my feather babies, like my rooster here, Thaddeus. And the lessons that comes along with it, this messy, beautiful, ordinary life that I am living and have been living and embracing. So, let me put him down. I was, in so many ways, living it already. I was already the chicken mama, called that by so many people. So this channel, it hasn't changed at its core. It really is still about midlife, marriage, identity, aging parents, our health, reinvention, healing, humor, and some of my favorite things, woo-woo. I love to be able to include some of that in here. And as some of you who have truly come to love some of my unlicensed chicken therapy, those will always stay. You know, these chickens, they keep giving to me, and I hope they give to you as well. So this isn't a reinvention, it's an alignment. So if you've ever found yourself in that messy in-between where the old version of you doesn't quite fit anymore and the next one hasn't fully arrived, well, this space is for you. I'm officially 50 now, went over that threshold, half a century. And this next chapter, it's not about rushing or proving anything. It's about enjoying the moments here. Like right now, it's really about paying attention, telling the truth, setting the goals, dreaming big, enjoying and loving what I have, and letting life look the way it actually is supposed to look. All the messy, right? And everything in between. So I'm La, the accidental chicken whisperer, and I am truly glad that you are here with me. Right, Tammy? Tammy. We're all glad that you're here. Take care. Have a great one. Hi, Tammy. How are you? How's my sweet girl, huh? How's my sweet girl? How are you? Say hi. Tammy. Hi, little one. Are you okay? What happened to you, huh? What happened to you? What happened to you? You guys hungry? You time to eat? How are you, huh? How are you? Oh.
I used to think I had to have everything figured out before I showed up again. But life doesn't wait for certainty. It just keeps moving, quietly, steadily, inviting us to meet it where we are. This season, I feel more grounded, more sure, more ready to move on the things I was too scared to tackle before. I feel more rooted, less about becoming someone new, and more about staying fully in who I already am. I'm still dreaming, still creating, still listening to myself and to this life I've built. And for now, that feels like enough.